Is it actually possible to become more confident than you are now? Yes, absolutely. And in this podcast, I'm going to explain 4 different methods for how you can boost your confidence whenever you need it. Now, obviously, there are some situations in life where confidence is a very important factor. Public speaking is a great example. If I get up to give a speech and I'm feeling nervous or anxious, my performance will tend to suffer. Especially at the beginning of the speech, that's a very common problem. But if I get up to give a speech and I'm feeling confident and I'm excited to be there, chances are my performance will be much better and the speech will have a much greater impact on the audience. Plus, I'll enjoy myself a lot more. But is confidence merely a matter of practice and experience? Is it a matter of knowing your material so well that you're an expert, or being so prepared for a situation that you're confident because you know nothing's going to go wrong, that you know you'll be able to handle anything that comes up? No. While having a lot more experience can obviously boost your confidence, it's actually not necessary. Let me share with you a simple story from my childhood about confidence. When I was in the 2nd grade, my school had a spelling contest. It was a contest my school had every single year. And for some reason, I don't know why, I told my mom that I was going to win first place. And she just laughed at me. To be honest, she had no real reason to believe me, because I wasn't a particularly great speller, and I hadn't even placed in the previous year's contest. But for some reason, I was so sure of myself. So I said, okay, Mom, I'm going to bet you double allowance for a month that I'll win. And if I lose, then I'll do all my chores for no allowance for a month. Now, my mom thought that was a sucker bet, so she took it. And she said, what if you come in 2nd or 3rd? I said, nope, has to be first place. So we shook hands to seal the deal. And my mom was sure that she was going to win, and I was sure that I was going to win. Now, from an objective standpoint, her bet was the most logical. There was no real reason to believe that I was going to win the contest, especially first place. I certainly didn't do that well in it the previous year. I just became certain I was going to win, even though I had no real external reason to believe that. Sure enough, when the contest ended, I won first place. And the funny thing was that after school that day, when my mom picked me up from school in 2nd grade and I ran up to her and told her I'd won the contest, she just laughed at me because she didn't believe me. And I said, no, really, I did win. So she actually had to grab another student from my class who was passing by to ask them who won the contest. And when they said that I did, she was really surprised. But I got double allowance for a month, which turned out to be $4 extra. Wow. But I'll tell you, the look on my mom's face was really priceless. I won that spelling contest because I convinced myself that I would win. And all my actions, the practice I did, and eventually the result of winning the contest flowed from that belief. So the funny thing was that I had the confidence first before I had the competence. My high degree of confidence that I would win caused me to take all the actions that eventually led to victory. I do not think I necessarily would have won if I was confident but without following it up with action. But it was the confidence that created the drive to take those actions. Had I not been so confident, I would not have practiced as hard as I did, and I probably would have been defeated before the contest even began. But I had no previous results to justify feeling confident. I mean, doesn't confidence have to be earned after all? Don't you need a reason to believe that you can excel at something, especially something new, maybe something you've never performed well at before? And you know what? The answer is no. You don't need to justify the feeling of confidence. Confidence is a feeling of certainty. And a history of success can enhance that feeling of certainty, obviously, but you don't actually need that history to feel confident. See, confidence is really a natural inner resource that you can tap into whenever you want. So if you're going to commit to doing something, then why not go into it feeling certain of success? You don't need to earn that feeling and have some external means of justifying it. It's just simply something you can claim whenever you want it. Now, it's one thing to say that you can do this. Let's move on discussing how you can do this. So I'm going to give you 4 ways that you can actually boost your confidence so you can sort of put yourself in this state and gain the benefits of being confident regardless of your external circumstances, regardless if you think you have some way of justifying that feeling. So the first method is basically visualization. In your mind's eye, see yourself acting with confidence. Albert Einstein said that imagination is more powerful than knowledge. That's really the key to feeling confident, because you don't need the knowledge to justify feeling confident when you can use your imagination to create the feeling of confidence. Suppose you're about to give a speech. Now, there's a visualization recipe for feeling confident, and there's a visualization recipe for feeling self-doubt. The visualization recipe for feeling self-doubt is basically to imagine yourself doing well, but also to imagine yourself doing poorly. So you sort of oscillate between these two different images. Sometimes you see yourself succeeding, you think, okay, I'm going to do a great job on the speech, and other times you see yourself failing. So you kind of feed your brain mixed messages, and when you feed your brain mixed messages, you will lack confidence. It's the natural side effect of that. The recipe for feeling self-assured and self-confident, however, is to permit yourself to see only one image, the one of you performing at your best. This requires something of a mental diet in the sense that you need to discipline yourself to keep your mind focused on what you want, not on what you don't want. So if you want to feel confident and you catch yourself creating images in your mind with your imagination where you're feeling uncertain or stressed or nervous or making a fool of yourself, stop running that pattern and replace those images with ones that will make you feel confident. Stop giving your brain mixed messages and take control of the visualizations you're creating. Take control of your imagination. Set aside some time and just consciously visualize what you want, how you want to feel. And you'll tend to find that when that event actually occurs, you're far more likely to feel confident, to feel the way you imagined yourself feeling in advance. See, most of the time our imaginations run on autopilot without even being aware of what's going on. Sometimes we run the recipe for confidence, other times we're running the recipe for self-doubt. But we always have that option of consciously taking control of our imaginations to create the feelings we want. The feelings that will leave us feeling resourceful instead of overwhelmed. So visualization is the first method for getting yourself to feel confident. The second method is to speak confidently. So this is a sort of a form of fake it until you make it. See, when you feel confident, you'll tend to speak confidently. You can pick out a person who feels confident because they speak in such a way that they just project confidence. You can say, wow, that guy seems really confident or really sure of himself. But how do you know? You could pick that up over the telephone because just by hearing a person's voice, you can hear that they sound confident, right? Or you can also hear self-doubt in the way people talk. Partly it's word choice, but it's also partly how people deliver their words. So, for example, if I were to say, I don't know, I hope this works out, or I hope you know what you're doing, that's the language of doubt, obviously. But if I say something like, no problem, I'll get it done, I'm choosing to use more confident words, but also to express myself confidently. And the interesting thing is that while you will speak confidently when you're feeling confident, the process also works in reverse. So when you simply speak confidently, even though you may not initially feel confident, you'll tend to create the feeling of confidence as well. So you say to yourself, I hope this works out, you'll feel doubtful. But say to yourself, no problem, I'll do it. And you'll feel more confident and certain, especially if you do that for a few minutes. Just start talking yourself into a state of confidence. See, the specific words you use are going to heavily influence how you'll feel. So when you catch yourself talking about your goals and your plans with really wimpy and uncertain words like hopefully, probably, maybe, stop doing that. Replace that language with stronger, more certain words like absolutely, definitely, yes, no problem, and you'll be more likely to put yourself in a state of confidence. Again, confidence is an emotional state. It's an inner state of being. And in this case, we're using our language to put ourselves in that state. So again, simply by using the language of confidence, speaking as if you already were confident, you'll tend to induce the feeling of confidence within you. Now, the third method is very similar to the second method, except instead of speaking confidently, we're going to use our whole bodies and we're going to move confidently. See, if you're feeling self-doubt, you're probably breathing shallowly, you're probably slumping your shoulders. You may even be slowly rocking from side to side as you're oscillating between two possible outcomes. For example, if you see somebody who's going to give a speech and they're very nervous before they go on, you'll often see them shifting their weight from side to side, from one foot to the other. That physical oscillation of their body is typically indicative of an oscillation in their mental state. They're trying to convince themselves that they're going to do well, and at the same time, they're feeling some degree of self-doubt. So they're not totally certain they're going to fail, but they're not certain they're going to succeed either. They're in the state of uncertainty. But when you become consciously aware that you're doing this, you can take control of that. You can actually stop your body from creating the symptoms of self-doubt and deliberately use your body in such a way that you create the symptoms, the physical symptoms of confidence. So how does a person breathe when they're confident? They take deep breaths. Their shoulders are back. They stand up tall. You have a sense that you're likely to succeed. When you know you're going to perform well, you're going to put your body in a certain physical state. This process works both ways. If you're feeling doubtful, it's going to put your body in a certain physical state. But if you actually even if you're feeling doubtful and you put your body in the state of feeling confident, it will tend to overwrite those feelings of self-doubt. It's the whole idea of as within, so without. So whatever you're feeling on the inside, you're broadcasting on the outside. But also, what you project on the outside in the way you use your body is going to create an emotional effect on the inside. For example, when I'm going to get up and give a speech, one of the things I do is I just take some deep breaths, I relax. As soon as I take the stage as soon as I get up in front of the audience, the first thing I do is look out over the room and pause for a few seconds and just smile. I'm putting my body in a state where it's harder to feel self-doubt. Smiling is indicative of confidence. So even if I'm not as prepared for a speech as I'd like to be, even if I don't have all the external reasons to feel confident that I'd like, I can just create the feeling of confidence because, again, you don't need to have that external justification. This is an internal state that you can simply switch on when you want it. And there are many situations where once you've done all the preparation you can and you have, say, some kind of live performance situation, it's better to feel confident even if you're not as prepared as you'd like to be. Because confidence will allow you to perform much better. It'll allow you to access the inner resources that you need so you can think of words, so you can perform well even when the conditions aren't the best. Now, the fourth and final method for getting yourself to feel confident is to use some sort of external stimuli to put yourself in a state of confidence. So in the first three methods, visualization, speaking confidently, moving confidently, we're using our mind and body very consciously to create that inner state of confidence. But another way to do it is to use some kind of stimuli to trigger the feeling of confidence. Darren LaCroix is a professional speaker who won the Toastmasters International Speech Contest a few years ago. Now, this is a very, very competitive contest. And I had the chance to meet with him when he came to Las Vegas last year. And one of the things he mentioned about what he did to win that contest, he had a little portable audio player with him, and he listened to 3 songs right before he went up onto the stage. And they were songs that put him into a state of confidence. I believe one of them was Simply the Best, and another one I know was Eye of the Tiger, which was the theme song to Rocky. So listening to this music before he went up caused him to feel a certain way. It put him in a state of feeling very confident. So when he was called up to go onto the stage and give his speech, he was still experiencing that emotional high from listening to music that really pumped him up. Music, I find, works really well for me too, but it's not always practical to use it. So you can come up with other environmental triggers too that can help put you in a state of confidence. For example, reminding yourself of previous successes. So one of the simplest ways to use an external stimulus to get yourself to feel confident is to remember a time in the past when you felt confident and create some physical object or physical stimulus that will allow you to re-trigger those feelings. So music is obviously one way to do that, but perhaps you can have a photograph that will remind you of a situation where you felt confident. For example, if you won a speech contest previously, you can take a photograph of your trophy, and then when you go perform in another speech contest, you can look at that photograph right before you go on and remember, wow, I won that contest and what it was like, and so on. Find some physical token of a previous success experience, and then bring it with you, if possible, or bring a photograph of it with you, and use it as a trigger when you want to feel confident. Just look at it and use it to trigger the memory that will bring up once again those feelings of confidence. So you're sort of replaying a previous instance of confidence. You're triggering a memory of a time when you felt confident, and that confidence feeling comes right along with the memory. So we have these 4 techniques for building confidence. We have the visualization technique, we have speaking confidently, we have moving and using your body confidently, and lastly, we have using some type of external stimuli to trigger the feeling of confidence. These techniques work especially well when you're in some kind of live performance situation where you can't do any more preparation than you've already done, and where it's better to be overconfident than underconfident. For example, if you're about to go up to give a speech, or take an exam, or ask for a raise or promotion, or ask someone out on a date. Of course, don't use this method to skimp on preparation when it isn't to your advantage to do so. But do take advantage of it when you're in one of those live performance situations and where confidence could boost your performance significantly. Until next time, live consciously.